because he understood and he reflected the feelings of millions of Americans whose beliefs were increasingly put down and who had been let down by the establishment in both political parties. These millions of Americans who were tired of being demonized because they believed in America's greatness and they wanted it restored. They were Americans who believed the nation's immigration laws should be followed and enforced. They were Americans who wanted a stronger military and greater support for our veterans. They were Americans who felt that international trade deals too often hurt workers in their cities and towns. They were Americans who wanted their support for police officers and their pro-life and Second Amendment positions respected. And they were Americans who wanted to be able to say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays. Most of you know I'm Jewish and I don't celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday, but I love the Christmas season. I love the Christmas spirit. I want to be able to say to you, Merry Christmas. I don't want to have to say Happy Holiday. And so most of the media worked very hard to create an impression across the country that he had no chance to win. Trump was giving a voice to voters, including many first-time voters who had stayed silent through the years as their beliefs were belittled. Now, some of my friends tell me I had an advantage in predicting that Trump was going to win this race. And my friends who are here tonight, and I had to call them here in Hawaii, they were concerned about Trump being the Republican candidate. They said my advantage is that I have been living in Springfield, Illinois for 18 months. And it's true. It gave me an early and an up-close view of the phenomenon that was happening across the country. You know, I had gone to Illinois to become the Chief Operating Officer for the state of Illinois under Governor Bruce Rauner. And I had been living in the land of Lincoln for 5 months when Donald Trump came to town for a rally on a Monday night in early November of 2015, a full year before the general election. While the media hadn't even started to make real fun of him because they dismissed him, months before any of the primaries began. Now, I didn't get to go to the rally because I worked late as the COO for the state, and I just couldn't break away, and I had no idea what was going to happen. But when I woke up and got the local paper in the morning, it reported that 10,000 people had packed the Prairie Capitol Convention Center to listen to Donald Trump. Springfield's a town of 115,000 people. 10,000 people came from all over southern Illinois, central Illinois, and on certain parts of Missouri. The previous attendance record, by the way, for the Prairie Capitol Convention Center was 8,700 people. That was 37 years ago when Elton John came to town. So that was the first time I felt what was happening. And then I started to listen closely to people, and I was sitting with someone from our office, governor's office, and the woman who headed personnel there in the office, and she talked to me about the rally the night before. And then she whispered she whispered to me. She said, you know, my mother supports him. It's kind of the way they used to whisper when I ran for governor here. We support you, but you can't say anything. It was kind of that same feeling. And on election day, in the 9 counties around Springfield, Illinois, the capital of Illinois, out of 9 counties, he won 7 of them 2-1. He won 1 of them 3-1. And the closest was in the Capitol. He won by, I think, 14,000 votes, and that's the headquarters of the Government Employee Union. He still won by 14,000 votes. Now, yeah, sure. Now, the Hawaii results, of course, were much different. I think he got 30% of the vote in the state. But the Trump team here at home did an unbelievable job. You heard that they made phone calls into the battleground states. They made 55,000 phone calls from Hawaii into the battleground states. Now we find ourselves here at home in a challenging situation. The president-elect only got 30% of the vote. Our 2 U.S. senators are left-wing Democrats. That's correct. Our representatives in Congress are Democrats. Not a good situation when the president is a Republican and both houses of Congress are Republicans. Now, fortunately for us, as you heard earlier, Miriam is on a first-name email basis with the President's Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, and I can tell you that he values her greatly. Imagine in the middle of everything they're doing in Washington with the transition and hiring the cabinet and getting ambassadors and all this, getting ready for the budget, Miriam's on the phone to Reince saying, can I have a video for the dinner in Hawaii? And she gets the video. Miriam And we're also lucky that our former Congresswoman Patricia Saiki is very dear friends with our next Director of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Elaine Chao. Pat, I'm sure we're going to have to call on you. And I don't want to brag, but I just want to point this out, that our new Energy Secretary is my former colleague, Rick Perry, the Governor of Texas. And while I don't want to jinx him, the person in the running to be the Secretary of Agriculture is my good friend, Sonny Perdue, former Governor of Georgia. So we do have some ability to deal with the administration, with Congress, and to talk with them. You know, I've never met Donald Trump, but I spoke for him on behalf of the Republican Jewish Coalition at the RNC convention in Cleveland this past July. And I've watched him closely over the 18 months that the campaign's been in full gear. And during these 18 months, he led me to see him as one of the great disruptors of all time. Entrepreneur Cliff Oxford described how I see him as a disruptor in an article in Forbes this past year. I want to read a little bit. You should go online and get the article. Trump, I thought I was the only person who saw him this way, as a disruptor. Here's what Cliff Oxford said. He said, for those of you who hate Trump and his policies, know that his approach is not that much different than the way Uber blew up the taxi industry, or the way Netflix eliminated Blockbuster from the face of the earth, What Trump is doing falls under the market theory of disruption. And although it is not pretty, he is playing it beautifully and by the book as a classic entrepreneur. He went on to say, "I'm a little disappointed that more fast growth entrepreneurs have not caught on to Trump and his disruption strategy. After all, Trump is doing what we entrepreneurs do every day. Trump is bombastic, ridiculous, and borderline crazy, but so are most disruptors. Entrepreneurs like it when Steve Jobs of the world stick a finger in the eye of the powerful IBM, or when a total unknown like the Dollar Shave Club flips Gillette and its overpriced razors on its head. We all applaud and think it's great. You don't have to like Trump, but it's way past time that we should applaud a disruptor in government." So here's what I think we can expect from the disruptor-in-chief once he's sworn in. First of all, the action is going to be fast and furious. He is a man in a hurry. You're going to see a growing economy brought about by a rollback of the job-killing regulations in every facet. You're going to see a growing economy brought about by corporate and middle-class tax cuts. You're going to see increased spending on the kind of infrastructure that enables economic growth. Here's what else I think you're going to see. Greater school choice across the country, charter schools and vouchers for all children have an equal chance at a good education. Hawaii is going to benefit because you're going to see a stronger military with additional spending, including programs for our veterans that will enable them to see private physicians in non-VA facilities. You're going to see an immigration system that recognizes our proud history as a country that welcomes those seeking a better life through legal means. And you're going to see a Supreme Court that will stop its lurch to the left. I don't know about you, but I'm very optimistic about the future, and I am so excited to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years. An Associated Press poll taken at the end of the year showed that 55% of Americans believe that things will be better for them in the year ahead. That is 12 points higher than 1 year ago. And I'm part of that majority of Americans who believes that next year will be better than this year. I hope everyone here will join me in supporting President-elect Donald J. Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence as they work to make America great again. Thank you all for giving me this chance to share some of my views with you tonight, for supporting the Hawaii Republican Party and the two-party system. And I look forward to reconnecting with all of you when I return home in April. Aloha.